everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing Euphoria Season 1, Episode 4, Shook Ones Part 2. And I'm sorry that my review is late. I was like, let me hurry up and get this review out before I got to catch another flight, before y'all start coming for me in this comment section. So I just want to let you guys know I will be out of town this Sunday and next Sunday, so Euphoria reviews will be up on Monday, not a day later, because I don't want to have to hear y'all mouths, okay? So let's get into this episode. I had a lot of anxiety because the whole situation that was happening with Jules, so I'm going to save all of that for last, and I'll kind of get all the little side stories out of the way. So everyone is pretty much, because I'll get back to Rue. Actually, I can start with Rue. Okay, so Rue called Ali at the end of the last episode after she kissed Jules and then freaked out and left. And so she's sitting there talking to Ali, and then she's like talking about like all this crazy stuff that just don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And so when he was like, Rue, I don't care about this shit. Like, why did you call me? What do you want? And so he was basically asking her, like, what made her call him? And she was just like, I didn't have anyone else to call. And so I guess she kind of told him about the whole situation with Jules, how she kind of overstepped the line, and she doesn't know how she's going to react. And so he was just like, does this remind you of anything? Like kind of this behavior, this obsession, infatuation that you have with Jules? And necessarily he's just saying that Jules, the same feeling that you have with Jules that you get with her is the same feeling that you get from drugs. And so Jules is your drug now. She is just taking the place of the drug. So even though you feel as though you're trying to get clean and all of this, what happens if, something doesn't happen right in you guys' relationship? Like, what is it going to look like? Are you going to go back to drugs? Can you still stay clean? You need to make sure that you're managing the real issues behind all of this. And so we see that everyone is at this carnival. So Rue actually goes to the carnival with Alexis and Gia, her little sister. And so basically they're hanging out. And we see that all of the different characters are pretty much at the carnival. I love how they shot everything. Everything's kind of in this continuous shot. The music that they're playing as we're switching through all of these different characters. We see Maddie and Nate arguing with each other over the phone because there's two Ferris wheels. Nate is at one Ferris wheel, Maddie's at the other Ferris wheel. We see McCrae and Cassie together. And so I love how the camera work that they have as they're switching through all of these different characters. But when Jules actually sees Rue and Rue sees her, we were wondering like what was going to happen. But I love how they have the lighting over them where they kind of single them out amongst the crowd, and they just run to each other, hug each other. And she was just like, are you mad? And she's like, I'm not mad. Things are going to be weird. And then she's like, let's just never talk about it. And she's like, talk about what? So they didn't made up. Everything's cool. But Gia peeped everything. And even her sister's friend Alexis was looking at them, and Gia was like, yeah, I think that they're like, she's in love with her. And so she's like, you didn't know that? And she's like, I never even thought about it. So she just had this look on her face, just perplexed, like, oh, like Rue likes girls, like when did this happen? I don't know. So yeah, so everything seems to be going fine, but we're going to switch to some of the side characters first before I get into the meat of what happened with Jules. So let's talk about Kat real quick. So I don't necessarily know how I feel about Kat's storyline, because we see that she's hanging out with Jules in the beginning of the episode, riding rides with her, but when Jules sees Rue, she ends up running off to Rue, so the cat is left alone. But as she gets on the ride, she sees that Ethan joins her, so they're having a great time. They're conversing with one another, flirting back and forth with each other. He's like, how about you go get some more slushies and we get drunk and ride the Ferris wheel? She was like, okay. And I was like, all right, I'm here for this little couple thing that they've been hinting towards. But she sees in the distance that Ethan is talking to this very pretty girl. However, what she doesn't know is that this girl is actually his sister's friend who's trying to get her to take a shift for her. So she was only talking to him saying like, hey, can you talk to your sister because she's not returning my phone calls, but Kat gets jealous. She thinks that he's talking to her, that she's showing interest in her. And so what does she do? She runs off. She drops the slushies, runs off, leaves Ethan, and then ends up talking to this random dude who used to he was in high school when she was in middle school. And she was like, hey, I heard how you had sex with all these people, how you have a big penis, woo, woo, woo. And I'm just like, Kat, I just don't understand your thought process. It's one thing to be sexually liberated and to feel as though you have control over your body and you want to have sex with who you want to. But it seems as though when she has these sexual experiences, the trigger is her being disappointed or hurt by someone else, you know, embarrassed by someone else. And so in this case, because she felt as though Ethan was talking to someone prettier than her, this prompted her to go run off and have sex with this random dude who was way too old, because he was like, how old are you? And she was like 16. And I'm like, if you was in high school when you was in middle school, I was like, ma'am, that's not lining up with these ages and what's consensual and what's not considered like statutory rape. I was just like, I need you to make better choices. And so when they have sex and then afterwards, well, you see when I guess he whipped it out, she looked like, I guess it was big, because that show was like, he lying, girl, it ain't big. He just saying that. But it was. They end up having sex, and then he was like, did you come? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, she told you. But I was actually proud of him for even asking. Most people wouldn't even ask you, like, did you get your rocks off in the first place? So I was proud of him for even asking her the question in the first place. So that's pretty much all that happened with Kat's character. I'm just interested to see how her character is going to play out with it. Sex can work, how she's really just using sex as a coping mechanism. I just don't think that whole situation going on with her storyline is necessarily healthy for her, but I'm interested to see how things, you know, fall into place as the season continues to progress. But we got to talk about my two most unfavorite people on the whole episode. We got to talk about McCray and Cassie, y'all, because I just don't care about them. They're so boring to me. I just be over them the entire time. So Cassie and McCray, they're at the carnival together, and so Nate is going, McCray is going to talk to Nate's dad, Cal. And so basically he was just like, hey, I haven't seen you playing. What's going on? And he was like, it's okay. I'm a freshman. So, you know, freshmen have to sit on the bench. And then Nate's dad started getting out of pocket. Like, you know what? You need to push yourself more. You know, I became who I am because, like, I went out there and I worked hard for it. And so you have to show to them, you know, why you need to start, why it's important for you not to be sitting on the bench. You can't have that attitude. And then he was like, and so you can keep a girl like that. I said, ooh, Mr. Cal, what you mean when you said keep a girl like that? I was just like, he messy. He real messy. But what got even messier is when Nate was like, oh, so are you guys in a relationship? And then I don't know why I keep calling McCray Nate, but McCray was just like, nah, we just chilling. And then she looking like, we just chilling. And so she gets upset. And then she talked about, well, I don't like football anyway. And I was like, girl, that's not what you're supposed to be saying right now. And then he like looked at her like, you don't like football. And so she ends up walking off, getting upset. And so he goes to talk to her and be like, what's your problem? And then she was like, what do you mean we're just chilling? And he was just like, you know, Nate is just messing around and he will start talking smack if I tell him that we were in a relationship. And he kind of alludes to Cassie that he's kind of heard some of the things that she's done sexually prior to them getting into a relationship. So this girl walk off and she goes to get some drugs with Maddie because Fez and Ashtray, they have this elaborate plan that they have a concession stand selling pretzels, but really they're selling Molly and other types of drugs with the pretzels. So the person go get a ticket from Fez, and then they go to the little counter and get the pretzel, and then they get the drugs with the pretzels. But when Maddie and Cassie was like, we don't eat carbs, I was just like, y'all, I'm just gonna pray for you guys because I still don't like neither one of y'all. I don't like Maddie either. But Cassie ends up walking off. She gets high off Molly. I think she's having a bad trip because she gets on the carousel. She picks up this random dude. They start making out. Then the girl start moaning and stuff like she having like some type of orgasm. I said, ma'am, you're just sitting on a little carousel. Like, is this little horse vibrating or something? What are you doing? What is your problem? And so he looking at her crazy. The people looking at her crazy. I don't know if that was her being on a trip and people were really looking at her like that. I don't know what was real, what wasn't real. I was just absolutely confused. So she ends up getting off the carousel, and then we see her later towards the episode crying. I don't know what the heck she crying about. She probably gonna end up pregnant by McCray because her mama told her way too many times during the course of this season, don't show up to my house pregnant. So that's pretty much all that happened with them. So next, who should we talk about, y'all? Let's talk about we're gonna talk about Rue's sister Gia. So Gia was at the carnival with Rue, and then she ends up hanging out with one of her friends. And I like that they're giving her like her own stuff to do in this episode because we really just always see her basically concerned about what's going on with Rue and with her drug addiction. And so she's hanging out with her friend, and why did her friend spit some knowledge? Not that it was good, because it's a shame that that's what's happening, but Gia's having a conversation about how she ain't got no shape, she ain't got no body. She called her boobs cutlets. I was like, girl, not cutlets. And so her friend was like, well, don't your mama only feed you organic food? She was like, yeah. She's like, that's the problem. You got to eat some of this processed food with the hormones in it. That's how you get get a body. And I was like, you know what? That's so messed up, but that's so true. Because some of these little kids, they be looking like grown adults, and they just like in middle school or high school. I'm just like, this is too much. But, Rue, Gia, you need to tell your mom stop buying our organic and maybe get you some curves, girl. So she ends up going off to go smoke weed with her friend and the twins. And so while Rue is at the carnival with Jules, her mom calls her like, hey, what's going on with Gia? She's not answering her phone. It's going straight to voicemail. So then it prompts her to go look for Gia because she doesn't know where she's at. Not answering her phone. She finds her smoking weed with the twins. She's high, but then the twins got mad disrespectful, saying like, when did you start being such a B? And then basically, since you OD, you know, because before you was doing all these drugs just like we were. It's just weed. So like, what are you tripping for? And so I was just like, so Gia, you just gonna let them disrespect your sister like that? Because when he called her B, I would have jumped up and we would have had to fight. I would have been like, square up. You don't talk to my sister that way. How dare you? Then you talking about her overdose like it's a joke. I just felt like, gee, I know you high right now, but you can't be that high that you're going to sit up here and just let them disrespect your sister like that in front of her. I just thought that was mad disrespectful. So she tell Gia, bring your ass on because it's time to go. Then I already got on my nerves. So she takes her home and they kind of have this conversation. She's like, I don't know what to say. Like, what do you do? She's like, it's all right. Mom's going to be in her room. Just go straight to your room. Don't say anything. And so she basically covers for her sister. Her mom was like, thank you so much. I appreciate you looking out for your little sister. Woo, woo, woo. Because I was just like, her mama can't take nothing else. If you find out that your other daughter is now doing drugs, even if it just is weed and you just had an older daughter who overdosed, I think that just would have been way too much for her to handle at this point. But we got to talk about Nate, Cal, Jules, and Maddie because all this craziness that is happening. So as I said at the beginning of the episode, Maddie and Nate are getting into an argument because he can't figure out where the heck she is at this carnival. And then when he sees her, she wearing this like little slutty looking outfit. And I'm not even going to say slutty. It was tacky. It was so tacky. He was like, why are you dressed like a hooker? And I was like, yeah, because that outfit not even cute. It just looks so tacky. Just, ugh. I was just like, why did you think this was cute? He's upset because his parents are there. They're doing this big chili cook-off. He wanted her to come hang out in the booth with them. But he was like, I can't take you around my parents looking like this. They already don't like you. And I was like, sir, did you have to tell her that your parents don't like her? I just felt like that was a bit much. So this sets her off when she leaves to go basically get some Molly. And so then she comes back and after his dad wins the chili competition, everybody's clapping. And then Maddie causes a scene. She walks up like, I know y'all don't like me, but it doesn't matter. And then she like pushes the chili, spills the chili everywhere. And then the mama said, what is your problem? And she was like, you're an effing cunt. I said, oh, we calling our boyfriend's mama's cuss now? That's what we doing? That's how we popping off? You would have got a backhand for that, ma'am, if you would have said that mess to me. I dare you. So she say that, then Nate grabs her like, are you kidding me? I can't believe you did this. So they get into it. He like dragging her off behind some trailers. I was like, Lord, he finna kill this girl. I don't know what the heck he finna do. So he grabbing her. They're getting into an argument. He was like, I'm so effing done with you. I'm done with you. So then he like slams her against the trailer, chokes her. I was just like, oh my God, he finna really sit up here and kill Maddie. But he ends up letting her go. And then she's basically like, you know what? I have a question for you. Why do you have all of those dick pics in your phone? And I said, ooh, she said something to him finally about this. And so he says, I'm just having a hard time. Like, you don't understand. There's a whole nother thing that's going on. I just need you to please promise not to tell nobody. I was like, oh, so you done changed your whole tune up. You sitting up here trying to get her to stay with you, be with you. I'm sorry, girl. Please forgive me. You know I love you. Save it, because you only saying that mess because you don't want me to put your little secret out there. So Maddie, of course, hugs him, consoles him. But she has a look on her face like, something's still not right about this. And I was like, I need you to keep going with that thinking because something is not right whatsoever. And so we see when she goes home that she actually has noticeable bruises on her neck from Nate actually choking her. So we see in next week's episode, it seems as though someone sees those bruises, the police come for Nate. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm just like, man, this is not a healthy relationship. I don't understand what you're doing, but I guess we'll find out more about Maddie's storyline as next week's episode focuses on her. But I just don't care for Maddie. I have a question. Is that a list that she has, or is she just trying to talk black? Or I I'm just trying to make sure I'm not just being like, you know, an ass and she really has a list or something like that. Or is she really just sitting up here trying to talk black? Because that really bothers me. I don't like when they do stuff like that. That's why Maddie kind of just rubs me the wrong way to begin with. But I guess after watching her backstory next week, maybe I'll feel a little bit better about her character. But right now, I can't stand her either, along with Cassie and McCrae. So we gotta talk about Jules, okay? So this whole episode, Jules is at the carnival. She's supposed to meet up with Tyler, the guy that she's been texting, who is really Nate. So she's supposed to meet up with him towards, like, you know, the end of the carnival. But in the meantime, while she's with Rue, she sees Cal, Nate's dad, who is the guy that she slept with in a hotel. So I was like, oh, snap. So Rue was like, girl, that's Nate's daddy. And she was like, are you serious? And she was like, yes, girl. She's like, I don't believe you. Like, no, you did not sleep with Nate's daddy. She was like, I did, and I prove it to you. I was like, girl, why are you walking up to this man in public around his family? So she walks up there asking for a cup of chili. This dude turned around and looked like he didn't saw a ghost, okay? And so he tries to play it off, but Nate looking at the whole interaction, I'm just like, this is why I clearly believe that Nate knows exactly that his dad slept with Jules. But people have been arguing with me like, no, he doesn't know that, but I think that he does. So he looks spooked. So he trying to play things off cool, hands her the chili, but she kind of touches him as she grabs the chili from him. He done spilled the chili on the table. So everybody looking at him crazy, like, what is going on with him? Then he sees Rue from the distance looking like she knows what happened. She knows that he had sex with her. And so now he's shook. I'm shook. I had a heart attack. My heart started beating fast. Like, girl, he's finna kill you. Like, get out of there. Why did you think that was a good idea? And she even went and told Rue after she met up with her, like, why did you let me do that? Yes, Rue, you're supposed to be in love with her. Why did you let her, like, go do that? That was so dangerous. So while she's looking for Rue's sister Gia, because they split up to find her a little bit quicker, Cal runs into her. So she all up here on this table in this like weird, empty, desolate area. And I was just like, Lord, she finna get killed again. The daddy finna come and kill her. So he come and he start talking to her. And then he basically like, I need you to please, like, what do you need? Like, what do you want? You know, I just don't need this to get out. I'll lose everything. I'll lose my family. And so she was just like, hey, like, chill. I'm sorry. I know that was a little crazy what I did. I was like, you think? And so she was just basically like, I'm not going to do anything. You know, like, nothing's going to happen. Rue's not going to say anything. Like, you're good. Like, we cool. I don't want anything from you. And he was just like, thank you so much. And I was like, girl, let me tell you something. That man got money, okay? You could have got for your transitioning drugs. You could have had him pay for that. You could have got your, like, college tuition. You saying you trying to move to New York. Like, you just don't let him off that easily? And he was rough with you? And he recorded you, but she don't know that yet. I would have been like, you're going to have to give me some coins, pay off these little Sally Mae loans, do something. So he goes off. And so everything seems to be fine. I'm like, woo, okay, Jules ain't going to die this episode. But we get to the end of the episode where Jules meets up with Tyler. And so she sees the guy walking up to her. But then she sees that the guy is actually Nate. So I was like, Lord, Jules is finna die all over again. My heart can just not take this right now. So they're talking. And then she sees that it's him. And she starts crying. She's upset because she was like, you lied to me. Like, I don't trust you. And so he was just like, no, you can trust me. You know, I've been talking to you for the past 3 weeks. I feel like you're like the closest person I've ever been to in like the entire world. I think you're a great person and you deserve everything, you know, that you have coming for you. And I was just like, okay, so where is this going? And so then he like kisses her and I was like, okay, well maybe, you know, he just, you know, I don't know. He's just conflicted. He's just confused. So he's kissing her. And then he was like, open your mouth. And then he was like, wider. And he started doing the same stuff that his daddy was doing to her on that videotape and all the other people that he'd been sleeping with. So I was just like, Lord, this boy just cuckoo as his dang on daddy. So then he ends up threatening her because he tells her like, I can't trust you because you're so broken inside. And I was like, so she broken inside, but you living a double life because you are bisexual and she's broken. But I was like, okay, I digress. Go ahead. Tell her about herself, Nate, since you know so much. And so he was like, because she's so broken, she can't trust him and she can't trust herself. So therefore, he can't trust her. And that's scary. And she can mess up his life, his family's life. And so basically he says the nude pictures that she's been sending to him, that's child pornography. So if she ever tells anyone anything that happened between them, he will take her stuff to the authorities. He has a link that shows that she sent all these pictures to this random person since it wasn't linked back to him. And so he would basically end her. And he was like, and that shouldn't happen because I know the type of person you are. You deserve everything in the world. I said, sir, don't be sitting up here trying to butter me up and you threatening me at the same time. So I just thought that this whole thing was weird. And then she basically says, like, you're like an F word, just like your daddy. And I was like, oh my goodness. So he does know. He has to know. So one of the questions that I had is when we see that they go home that night, after he ends up leaving with her, we see that the dad goes upstairs and checks the tapes that he has where he be recording sleeping with everybody. And I couldn't tell like if he was relieved that all the tapes was there or if the tape with Jules was missing. Y'all let me know what you thought about that because I was really confused about it. So I don't know what the heck is happening. Jules ended up leaving crying. She's upset because Nate didn't threaten her. He didn't catfish her at the same time too. And so she goes to Rue's house and asks, can she sleep over? Then they end up kissing, and I don't know how the heck that's supposed to end up because I don't think that Jules really likes Rue like that. She just, in her feelings, she lied to Rue and just said, oh, he didn't look like his picture, but she doesn't know that this person was really Nate. And all this stuff is happening. So I don't know what the heck is going to go on. But I did find it interesting at the beginning of the episode. We learned a little bit more about Jules, about how she was self-harming to herself, how she had issues where she would get focused on the thought. She would think about choking and then start actually choking. Couldn't control herself. Her mom kind of didn't like her for that. And so she sent her away to the psychiatric unit. And then she got better eventually and, you know, came back. And we don't really know why her mama went away. We know that something was wrong with her mom, but I don't know necessarily how that happened. So it's nice to kind of see the backstory, even though it was tragic, but after she goes to live with her dad and her dad supports her transitioning, you know, she started to feel better about life and even seeing how happy this imaginary guy Tyler was making her. So it just makes it so sad that you see that she was finally so happy about life, only to have Nate basically make everything come crashing down. So I just need to see what's going to happen. Like, does Nate know that his daddy smashed Jules? Did he take the tape or is the tape still there? I don't know. I need answers about this, but this is a really good episode. I was just like, I had 7 heart attacks watching this. My nerves was bad. Thought I was going to have an asthma attack. I actually really enjoyed this. So those are my thoughts on Euphoria Season 1, Episode 4, Shook Ones Part 2. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pair Weights, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.